Glad to have you with us here on Seahawks Today. Tyler Jones here with you. Appreciate you joining us. Coming up on today's show, we have the latest Seattle Seahawks news and rumors as we have a new mock draft from ESPN's Todd McShay. We'll tell you who he has the Seahawks selecting with their 2 first-round picks. Also, some coaching staff changes could be on the horizon for the Seahawks as a couple of their assistants are interviewing for some coordinator positions. We'll tell you about that and more coming up in just a few moments. Before we do, as we are talking draft on today's show, who is a player that you would like to see the Seahawks draft in 2023? And not even just talking first round. If there's a guy that you like later in the second or third rounds or a day 3 guy, let me know. Who comes to mind that you'd like to see in a Seahawks uniform next year? Name me a player or two that you'd like to see the Seahawks select in this upcoming draft. Todd McShay of ESPN has put together his latest mock draft for the entire first round for every team in the National Football League. The Seahawks, of course, with 2 selections, picking at 5 and 20. And we're going to react to and show you what McShay had to say for each one of those picks. So let's start out with the number 5 selection. McShay is projecting that the Seahawks take Texas Tech edge rusher Tyree Wilson at number 5 overall. And this is going to be a popular pick. I think you're going to see a lot of mock drafts that have the Seahawks going this route with Tyree Wilson there at number 5, as McShay does. And so let's hear more from McShay of the pick of Tyree Wilson to Seattle at 5. I expect Seattle to re-sign or franchise tag Geno Smith. So quarterback shouldn't be a top. It's draft day needs. But Poona Ford is a free agent. Uchenna Nwosu and Darrell Taylor are under contract for only 1 more season. So the defensive line could be a major focus. The Seahawks finished 7th in sacks, 45, but their pass rush win rate, 33.5, was 28th, and pressure rate, 28.9%, was 21st. Were lackluster. Wilson wins with power, totaling 14 sacks over the past 2 seasons in Lubbock. The resume on Tyree Wilson, it is pretty dang good, if we say so ourselves. The number 1 edge rusher, according to McShay, and the number 5 overall player in the entire draft class. Was a first-team All-American selection this past year. Also was first-team All-Big 12. So all of it adds up. The Seahawks have a need there. Tyree Wilson is a terrific football player. Somebody that we mentioned had 7 sacks a year ago, 14 tackles for loss. The Seahawks need help at this spot. To me, this is one that I don't think you can complain about. If you end up with Tyree Wilson here, I think you're feeling pretty good about the Seahawks ending up at this spot. So let's Madden scale this thing. Scale it for me 1 through 100. How good is Tyree Wilson? What do you think he would bring to the Seattle Seahawks? This is our pinned comment today. You might get an ad break. If so, take advantage of it. Get your votes in. Scale it for me 1 through 100. How good is Tyree Wilson? Let me know in the comment section how good you think he is. So the next pick for the Seahawks at number 20, McShay projects that the Seahawks select Alabama defensive back Brian Branch at 20 overall. Now, Branch is listed as a DB because he has experience playing both corner and safety. But it seems like the consensus is that he'll probably play safety at the next level. Here's more from McShay on the pick. I have the Seahawks sticking with defense after drafting Wilson at number 5, now addressing the secondary. Yes, Jamal Adams and Quandre Diggs are both under contract for a few more years, but Branch is versatile enough to play all over, often lining up in the box or over the slot as a nickelback. Plus, Adams hasn't played a full season since 2018 and is returning from a season-ending quadriceps injury suffered in the 2022 opener. With great instincts and a complete toolbox, Branch did it all last season. 89 tackles, 12 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, 2 interceptions, 7 pass breakups, and 9 run stops. McShay has him as the number 1 safety in this entire draft and the number 23 overall player. Now, what's interesting is, based on the way voting went in the SEC, he was second team in the SEC, but he was an All-American by most of the outlets out there. So he's got more respect nationally than what he got in his entire conference on that front. So I understand that, you have two really good safeties in Jamal Adams and Quandre Diggs. But remember this possibility. Not only do you factor in the injury issues with Jamal Adams, but there's been rumblings that they could be moving him to linebacker, and then that could open up a spot for Brian Branch. Also, we talked about his ability to play corner. I think this gives you versatility. You have options that you can work with potentially with Brian Branch at the table here at 20. So, should the Seahawks draft Brian Branch with this selection at 20th overall? What do you think about this idea of bringing Branch to Seattle? Let me know in the comment section. Y for yes, N for no. If Seattle's still there at 20 and they can pick Brian Branch, should they do so? Let me know in the comment section. Y for yes, N for no, if they should pick Brian Branch. So, to recap these selections for the Seahawks, according to Todd McShay, you have Tyree Wilson going to Seattle with that number 5 pick and filling a need at the pass rusher spot. And remember this, I know we focus so much when it comes to pass rushers being available, but the Seahawks had such a need when it came to stopping the run this past year. I think what you're looking for, guys like Tyree Wilson or others that are trying to fill the void on this defensive line, is to not only be available to rush the quarterback, but also to be able to stop the run. And that was something that Al Woods, Poona Ford, these guys struggled with last year. And the outside linebacker spots, I mean, Bruce isn't getting any younger by any means. Uchenna and Nwosu look pretty solid, but let's just see what they can bring to the table if you can add some depth potentially and make that work. Brian Branch, really good safety. Overall, mentioned 23 overall player, somebody that provides that flexibility for that Seahawks team. I think you're sitting here and you're saying to yourselves, okay, we will find a place for him one way or the other. That whether it's Jamal Adams moving to a linebacker position, or if he's not fully healthy, whatever it may be, or even playing Branch at cornerback, it's a good thing to have versatility, to make things work, to have athletes of some sorts. To me, I love the idea of having athletes, and to me, you can find a way, you can find a spot of some sorts to make it work where Brian Branch would be getting playing time for this Seahawks team. McShay's mock draft, not bad. It's, I would say it's pretty solid. I would give this a B+. Is it perfect? No, but it's not bad. I would give it about a B+ personally. Not an A, but not a C or D or even an F by that point. What say you guys? Grade the mock draft of Todd McShay, what he did here. Let me know in the comment section, A, B, C, or D, or F, what you think McShay did with his 2 picks for Seattle. All right, little coaching staff update for you. Quarterbacks coach Dave Canales has interviewed for the Buccaneers offensive coordinator position. That is according to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler. And Canales has been a guy that's been there a long time on this coaching staff with Pete Carroll there in Seattle, but never got the opportunity to be a play caller, to be an OC. And so now he might have the chance to do so, being a finalist for this Tampa Bay Buccaneers job. That might not be the only change potentially. You could lose Canales. You could also lose Sean Desai as well. Let's tell you about these situations here. Canales, a finalist for the Bucs job. He was passed over for the Ravens OC gig. Ultimately, they gave that to Todd Monken, the Georgia offensive coordinator. He got that job. And then as far as Sean Desai goes, he got passed over for the Dolphins and the Browns jobs. He was a candidate for both those, was in those interviews, but ultimately they went different directions there. The Broncos job remains a possibility for Sean Desai. And I think everybody knew that Sean Desai, with as popular as he was well respected around the league, that he probably wasn't going to be in Seattle too long. So I know what you're thinking, that, man, you'd like to keep these guys, you would. But if your assistants are getting hired for other jobs, that means you are doing something right. That means that you have good coaches and that you're hiring good coaches. So, Seahawk fans, if Dave Canales or if Sean Desai leave, no hard feelings. And I would say that you sit there and you say, hey, we're doing something right as far as that goes. You'd like to keep them there, but at the end of the day, if they move on for better jobs, you understand, and you hope to replace them with just as good a quality guys there on that front. We'll continue to monitor that. As always, you interact with me on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, at Tyler Jones Live, talking about your Seattle Seahawks on those social media platforms. And I'll see you next time right here on Seahawks Today.